Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to Scoreboard once again on ACT. And it's always a pleasure every Tuesday evening we come into your homes and we talk sports. On the last episode of Scoreboard, we started a session with Earl Pierre and Eric Barney Thomas. And we talked a bit about the Players Association, and we also heard a bit about Eric and his stint, from Santa Cruz to the US, where he took his trade and is now a successful coach. And we talk a lot about, things that's happening in football, especially, as I said, with the Coach Association, why it's necessary that players should seek some sort of organization that can assist them, like the footballers abroad. They have their managers who work on behalf of them, right? Who deals in transaction, salaries, injuries and these things. And that's what's lacking in Trinidad football. We want to do everything on ourselves, or we operate like, it's a sweat. We play professional football, but it's a sweat. So all of that needs to change. But on this week's program, we want to talk a bit about where are we as a football nation from 2006, when we had the hype with the World Cup. And we had the team that many of us thought that would have gone to the Gold Cup and be successful. But remember the blacklisting with, all those who had their agendas. And now where are we with football? Sometimes I ask, after a college league, who are the top 5 footballers? There were times when you'll tell me 10 in 10 seconds. Now, if you ask, who are the top from the secondary school, you have to sit down now and think, well, So we want to talk a bit, where have we gone wrong? What are we doing wrong? And what do we do right now? So let me, again, reintroduce Earl Pierre and Eric Barney Thomas. Gentlemen, we were up on the moon in 2006. We qualified for a World Cup. We went out there. I think the performance is what we all knew would have been the outcome. We didn't expect to perform the way we performed, but we surprised people. We came back home, the hype was all gone because there were issues. Players weren't paid. There were money, problems. You see, and we're going back to the Players Association, right? Players were blacklisted, and that was it. Where did we go wrong? And how do we bring back football to what we knew? You see, a lot of people now sit down and they watch football from the 20s, the 90s, right? But we had great footballers in the past. We had football games, secondary schools football games that a lot of people might not be aware of, but you could justify to that. That when you go in Skinner Park, it's 20 and 30,000 people for a secondary school football game.
Yeah.
A secondary school. I'm not talking about the North-South Classic and them kind of thing. I'm talking about school football, right? And that's when we had black and white TV and radio fusion. Now we modernize now with flat screen TV and computers and all kind of thing. So instead of we go forward, I can't say we're going backward, because we go backward, we'll go back to the glory days of football.
Yeah.
Where did we go wrong? What can we do? Let me start with yeah.
Well, we all had to start from the top.
Yeah.
And our administration, who runs our soccer football in Trinidad and Tobago, have a lot to be blamed for it.
Yeah.
Because they think, for me, I think that if we don't have a good structure and plan, there's no way we're going to see the future.
Right.
And this is what we're lacking. Okay? One, when it comes to selecting the people to really run our soccer,
Yeah.
That's where we started off from.
Okay.
Okay. Now, how could we have a coach that almost, I think that was what, 1990 World Cup?
Yeah.
With Gary Cummins.
Yeah.
Right? Almost make it to the World Cup. And today, he have not even given a second chance to be a part of our national program, you know. And we look back at these days and say, we wonder why. But it's just, as I say again, it starts from the top. The administrative part of our organization, these people have to be, you know, more proactive in what they do and how they do things.
And go.
Okay. Let's go back to 2006-7. When we went to the World Cup, right? You said that we all expected, with respect to the outcome. The only reason why I expected what happened is because our greatest player, who's the reason for us getting to the World Cup, Latapy, did not play.
Mm-hmm.
The same angle, Coach Leo went defensive plan. Okay. We draw with Sweden, right? With 10 men, because the wing back had gotten against England. We didn't play this defense. We had to open up. And Georgie, when Latapy came on in the last game, even the commentator said, where was he all the time? I have heard the reasons why the coach didn't play him and whatever, but George, we didn't go there to win the World Cup. And I honestly believe that Latapy had played, we'd have gone to the second round. You see that game against England, where we took them over 70-something minutes? If Latapy was in that game, Georgie, I myself might have get a heart attack. Because we was in Brooklyn in this club, and football does bring a kind of excitement. Yeah? And again, if Latas did play, because he's a goal scorer and also a playmaker, we'd have gotten goals. That's one. Now, our football went south when the senior coaches were blacklisted. Because as you know, I always post up on my Facebook page and show the coaches with the gray hair. Just recently, Angelotti defeated Man City because of the changes I want to believe that Pep need at the end. But again, my coaches, like Leo, they come with experience compared to the coaches now. So when these coaches were blacklisted, I think that's where our problems came in. Plus two, when I returned and I grew up in America, left at 15, and decided to came back to join the service. And when I came back, you remember in the 80s, the drugs didn't get here as yet.
Yeah.
But there was a drug called crack cocaine was coming. And at that time, 30, 40 years ago, we were still partying and having a good time. In Jamaica, it was different. And we grew up amongst Jamaicans. There was a lot of murders and so forth. So I told them, I said, hey, there's a drug coming here and there's going to be a chaos. There are going to be real problems. And they say, Mango, that will never happen. Because you remember, our culture was always having a good time. And I've lived to see it, where the drugs destroy our country at that time. Not destroy, but it put a damper on the sports. Because, again, even players are getting involved in that life of crime. You remember they put up the lights, and nobody wanted to go and train because they're scared. It was a serious thing, but we have to push past that because it's like we have to live with it and really start to really develop our players on the real.
But do you think the coaches is the issue or the individual themselves? Why I'm putting this to you, okay, take for instance Ron Lafferty.
Yeah.
Ron Lafferty to me is a very experienced coach,
Yeah.
right? Now he has a team in the Ascension League,
Yes.
right? That team comprised of players who even represented Trinidad and Tobago
Yeah.
at one time or the other, right? But look at their performance in the Ascension League right now.
Yeah. But again, the reason why his team would not be successful, you cannot just come on board and send in, not threats, but saying you come to beat up the professional teams. You have to handle.
Yeah, but I don't think that is from Ron. I think that is from the so-called.
No. Ron said it too.
Ron said it too?
Yeah.
Okay.
And my thing is that, because I know Ron. I have been around Ron when he was the coach of ECM. And I know what Ron could do. He has proven himself with Guaya.
Yeah.
But again, there's two types of coaches, Georgie. There's a coach like Eric Bandy Thomas, who could. Players don't have to be that good, but he know what he's doing. There's coaches who wins because they have a good team. Right or wrong?
Yeah.
Like me.
Yeah.
I wasn't no coach, but I know the players to hire. Erasto Nice, Marvin, Rodney Dennis. Players who played for Trinidad, played for Caledonia, and I win. So coming back to Westford. In time to come, once you get the players, you will be successful because both of us like Brazil. You like nice things, and you know how to get it across.
Yeah. But you see, what I'm getting at is really, when we look at football right now, we're not producing. Okay, let me put you on this spot.
Yeah. Go ahead.
In 2006, right? If I had told you, Mango, you made 5 top footballers, you could have done that in a second.
Yeah.
Because you had a number, you understand? If I ask you now, Mango, give me the top 5 players currently playing football in Trinidad and Tobago right now. Who are they?
And again, the reason for that.
No, who are they? No, I'm asking you if you can identify the top 5 players right now.
Well, I like the youths that coming about Jaff playing for the youth teams, the national team.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But you see what I'm saying? But in 2006, you would not have taken that long or stutter. You would have, because, you understand?
Yeah.
Why are we not producing? And it's not only in football.
Yeah.
It's not only in football, right? Eventually we'll sit with our Trinidad cricket team when Bravo and Paula and Narayana, these guys gone.
Yeah.
You will see it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why are we not producing quality football? We're talking football. Why are we not producing quality football?
And again, it goes back in our days, we used to play more football. Bandy might have about 3 games a day, right? Other guys who have, I used to call them the community leaders, would come and hire players to go and play in a league, minor league in Central or whatever. Compared to this day, there's hardly any community leaders like that anymore. Plus 2, the players today are more on playing the games.
So you say we're not passionate enough towards the game?
No.
We play it because, okay, we play it, but not really.
No. Let me just read this, Georgie. Success at the SFL level has left so many young players with a false sense of confidence and actually believing that they were far better than they really were. because in their minds, and the hype the media created had them thinking they were stars. They never did any additional to improve their craft, but rather they left their egos swell as their heads, so they lost out on valuable years of development. So as they represented our youth national teams and tournaments, or went abroad to college, their deficiencies were exposed, and they struggled with possession and decision making. Also dealing with physicality of the game. The SFL is flawed in so many ways. How do we expect to prepare a young player for the future success as a professional or college prospect when their counterparts are being prepared at professional academies, etc., for as early as 7, while our players are 20 and 21 still in Form 5 or 6, in form wasting time in school just for football, with most of them having 4 CXC passes, grade 3. Let's not stop encouraging these boys to be in school this late, encourage them to graduate and move on with their lives. Right. Someone wrote this and there was this response. Remember, the league is just a playing platform. I think the coaching schools, clubs, and TTFA should be ones being targeted for their failures. Very important.
Georgie, I want to touch a little bit on his little article, and it come back to this. If we need to take this light off in the ceiling, we need a ladder. The ladder have steps.
Yeah.
And this is what we move away from. We had it in our time. Coming out of colleges league or intercol football in my time, we had it in the form of when you leave, when you play for your school, your next step, you play for your community club.
Mm-hmm.
Right? From the community club, you move on to maybe another team where it's close by in your community, you understand, at another level. Mm-hmm. So you climb in the ladder. Mm-hmm. You start from here to get to the top. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the major reasons that our football really is lacking in this country. Because a little youth coming out of the colleges league have a very nice, average, season. Mm-hmm. We have some coaches here help spoil them. Because they move them from here to right up here.
Without
proper preparation. Mm-hmm. So now, as an individual, if your mindset is not, there for you in the know-how of getting from A to B, then you get shut down. Because if a coach take you from the colleges league and put you straight into the professional league as a starting player, with that mindset that you don't know the know-how to get from A to B, you tell yourself, you know what, I got there already. So now I'm just going to play. It's nothing for you to work for again. I will draw another example. I honestly feel that the colleges league should never be played in the stadiums. It should all be community-based. Yeah. Because players have nothing to work forward to. If you're playing in the national stadium at the age of 12 and 13 and 14, what is there for you to grasp at the end or 20 years now, after you really climb the ladder halfway to say, you know what, boy, I will love to play at the national stadium. I will really love to, and you get that urge. But if you're playing there at the age of 12 and 13, there where it's gone. It's gone. It's like as a father and a son, the things you do that lose respect, we didn't have that in our time. You wouldn't see me sit down with my son Lyman in my time. Today, the youths of today, they're sitting down with their father, they're doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing together as a son and father. You understand what I'm saying? So I'll go back now that we need to start back from the colleges and climb the ladder.
Well, what about all our football academies, which some people class our football academies as daycare center because your parents want to do their shopping and whatever on a weekend. So they dump the child by the nearest football academy, unknowing that the coach isn't all that qualified. Right? So do you think the problem starts there with the underqualified coach instilling bad habits
Yes.
into the child, right? And also, do you think that we should have one system of football that if you start at an academy at age 5, the training there must be the same training, method of training that you will get going into the academy and next academy at 17
Yes.
or at 18. So you're learning the football one way,
Yep.
right? You're not all over the place. So when I leave your academy, let me say at age 10, and I go into under 15 academy by Mango, right? I'm basically just a continuing from where I left off with you,
Yeah.
right? Mango going to tell me, well, your last coach, well, you weren't supposed to kick the ball so, or you weren't supposed to, so you confuse me now. So
Yeah. Because I'll just draw a simple example about it, right? That a couple of years ago, while I was more involved in the coaching abroad, some youths came to me, and while doing some drills with them, you know, I'm trying to explain to them, practice don't make you perfect. They say, what do you mean by that, coach? I said, well, to tell you the honest truth, practice make permanent. Because if you've been practicing the wrong thing for 10 years, how would you be perfect? It make you permanent at what you're doing, regardless if it's the wrong thing or the right thing. You understand? So again, come back to the same situation where they just drop the kids over to the academy. The guys that is in charge, the so-called coaches, they and all don't even know the know-how to deal with it. So they start practicing the bad habits from an early age. You know what I mean? And this way it follow from, all right, under 10, under 15, under 7. And we have a lot of that in Trinidad and Tobago. Some guys out there who have running academy fall into that category. I go around and I see it. Like I went to as I said, I volunteer my little time. I went 2 weekends out there with the little academy in my community. And, you know, I use an example. I did a drill. And the next day I came back to the training session and I said to the kids, I said, after you leave here yesterday, what you did? One say, I went in the river. I met my girlfriend. You know, this is youth that I'm talking about. I eat a plate of food, I went and sleep, I went and watch TV. I say, you know, not one of you guys tell me you went home and think about what we did yesterday. So come back tomorrow, I will try to work on what we did yesterday. None of that. So how could you improve? By going after a practice, you go in the river. You go with your girlfriend. So which means after football, yeah, that's it. And this is where the system is killing us.
And then you see too, what I always say to her, a coach is not just a coach a mentor, a father, you know, thing. And sometimes, you know, we see fault in children, but we don't address it because all we know is that we have an academy running and you come to learn football.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes now, your little fault could be why you went by the river and not go and sit down and study that drill yesterday. You understand? And that's what we need as coaches to see, you know. When you have players and you're responsible for players, you're supposed to know these players, right? I listened to when the guys from Benedict's talk in the days of Dunbar and Matthews, right? When he would just pop up with the church gong, pop up at the homes, just like that, unannounced.
Yeah.
You understand? And that is it. But we have about 5 minutes remaining.
Georgie, not trying to cut across you. All right. Another example I see happen in the training. Parents coming and bringing their kids to this academy. 7 o'clock in the morning, you had a meeting doubled.
Yeah, yeah.
And the coaches who is in charge encouraging it.
Yeah.
I told them that's a no-no.
Gentlemen, we just have about 2 minutes to explain this. I know I'm asking us to explain something we're going to take about our next 5 years in 2 minutes. Do you see our football at what we've seen now? Do you see our football getting up there? Or we have a long road ahead?
We have a very long road ahead. Very, very long road ahead. And, you know, as we discussed, you know, earlier in the in the interview, and we touch on everything in regards to why I personally think we have a long way ahead for we football to get back, as we call it, the glory days at Trinidad and Tobago.
Mango, whatever you can say here, you will post on Facebook, right? But where's your, you think we're on the road back up?
50 years.
Yeah.
1994,
Yeah.
we played Martinique in a final. Yeah? Before that, there was a problem with regards to payment. David Naked, as you know, like me, we want certain amount of monies. Right, it was a great point. Martinique got 7. And this is why, and people know this, once you treat your players right, they will win. Georgie, this team had 9 goal scorers. From defense, midfield, Angasif, Nixon, just name a few. Dorka, young Dorka, Pachico, Hudson Charles. And I keep on saying we need to get back to this level because as you see with our team, we don't even score a goal. We don't even score a goal. And this is why I give out incentives to let them know, hey, we have to get back to the level where we're scoring goals. We have to get back to that level.
George, I could add a little bit. I know, we're cutting it close, but listen, I just want to add a little thing on what Mango was just explaining. We cannot have a professional team and the guys don't know when they're getting paid and you still want 100%.
That's true. Well said. I like how you end it. Viewers, I want to thank you all for really staying with us, and I want to thank Mango and Eric for spending this time with us and trying to enlighten us a bit about what's happening with Trinidad football. You're going to see some clips inside of the show, and those were the days when we used to see the perfect touch in football. You understand? And that's what we're missing right now. But we believe, we just have to believe miracles has happened. And one day, Trinidad football will rise again. So viewers, I want to thank you for staying with us. I want to thank these 2 gentlemen. And we have a safe trip back up.
Will do, thank you.
Well, I know.
And it's been a pleasure here.
I know you always in season.
Program.
Viewers, if you miss any part of this program, tomorrow at 12 and on Saturday is a repeat. Have a blessed week and join me next week where we talk sports right here on Scoreboard.